Have you ever heard a sound in the middle of the night that just felt wrong? For me, it started with a doorbell. Not during the day, when you'd expect a package or a friend stopping by. No, this was different. Every single night, at precisely 2:33 a.m., my doorbell would ring. Just once, a sharp, insistent chime that would jolt me out of a dead sleep. The first time it happened, I stumbled out of bed, heart pounding, convinced it was an emergency. I peered through the peephole into the empty, dimly lit hallway of my apartment building. Nothing. I checked the time on my phone. 2:33 a.m. Weird, I thought, and went back to bed. The next night it happened again. Ding dong, 2:33 a.m. on the dot. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a random prank. The timing was too specific. I crept to the door again, my breath held tight in my chest. Again, the hallway was deserted. The silence that followed the chime was almost louder than the ring itself. This pattern continued for a week. Every night, the same chime, the same time, the same empty hallway. My sleep was shattered. I'd lie awake, staring at my ceiling, waiting for 2:32 am to tick over, my body tensing for the inevitable ring. I decided I needed proof. I wasn't going crazy. I bought a small, motion-activated security camera and positioned it to look through my peephole. I wanted to see who or what was doing this. That night, I barely slept, my eyes glued to the live feed on my phone. And then, at 2:33 a.m., it happened. The doorbell rang and the camera feed flickered to life. My heart hammered against my ribs. Standing there, just outside my door, was a figure. It was tall, unnervingly so, its frame seeming to stretch and fill the entire camera view. It was wearing a long, dark coat, but the most terrifying part was its face. It wasn't just in shadow, it was blurred. Like a glitch in a video, a swirling vortex of pixels where a face should be. It didn't move. It just stood there for a full minute after ringing the bell, a silent, faceless sentinel, before turning and walking away. Its movements unnaturally smooth and silent. I watched the footage over and over, trying to make sense of it. The figure was always the same. Tall, cloaked with that horrifying, distorted face. It never tried the doorknob, never knocked, never made a sound other than the single press of the doorbell. Who was it? What did it want? The questions echoed in my mind, keeping me in a constant state of low-grade terror. I started barricading my door at night with a chair, a completely irrational gesture, I knew, but it made me feel a sliver of control. I showed the footage to a friend who paled and suggested I call the police. I did, but when they reviewed the footage, they were baffled. They said it was likely a high-tech prank, someone using a projector or some kind of digital mask. They increased patrols in my building, but the visitor at 2:33 am was never caught. The nightly ritual continued. The lack of answers was maddening. I dove into online forums, searching for anything similar. I found stories of shadow people, interdimensional beings, glitches in the Matrix, all sorts of paranormal explanations that a month ago I would have scoffed at. Now, they seemed more plausible than any logical explanation. The figure didn't feel human. Its presence, even through the screen, radiated a coldness that seeped into my apartment, into my bones. My nights became a cycle of dread, a brief, jarring ring, and then hours of staring at the ceiling, imagining that blurred face just on the other side of the door. I started to wonder what would happen if I opened the door. The curiosity was a morbid, creeping vine tangling with my fear. What did it want? To be let in. This went on for what felt like an eternity, but was probably about 3 weeks. I was a wreck, I was barely sleeping, jumping at every little sound. My work suffered. My friends were worried. I was living on a knife's edge, all because of a doorbell, and then one night something changed. I was in my usual position, lying in bed, staring at the clock, waiting. 2:32 a.m. ticked by, 2:33 am arrived, and there was silence. No ring. The quiet was deafening, a stark absence of the terror I had become so accustomed to. I waited 2:34, 2:35, nothing. A wave of relief so powerful it almost made me dizzy washed over me. It was over. The prank was done, the ghost had moved on. Whatever it was gone. I finally allowed myself to drift into a deep, dreamless sleep, the first I'd had in weeks. The next night, I felt a renewed sense of hope. Maybe it really was over. I went to bed feeling almost normal again. I didn't even bother to check the security camera feed. I was just about to fall asleep when a tiny sound from the direction of my front door made my eyes snap open. It wasn't the doorbell, it was a faint, dry, scratching noise, like a fingernail being dragged slowly across wood. I sat bolt upright, every muscle in my body screaming. The scratching stopped. My apartment was dead silent. I strained my ears, listening for anything: footsteps, breathing, the hum of the fridge, and then I heard it. It was a voice. A low, raspy whisper coming directly from the keyhole of my front door. It was so close, it felt like the person was speaking right into my ear, and it only said 2 words. But those 2 words have been seared into my brain, and I don't think I'll ever be able to forget them. The whisper, cold and ancient, slithered through the keyhole and into my room. It said, "I know you're in there. I haven't slept in my own bed since. I've been staying on friends' couches, but I know I can't run forever." Because sometimes, when it's quiet, I can still hear that whisper echoing in the back of my mind. It didn't need the doorbell anymore. It knew where I was. And now, it was just waiting. Thanks for listening. If you have any similar experiences, share them in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. Stay safe out there.